These videos take a long time to record and edit. It would mean a lot to me if you could leave a like and subscribe. If you enjoy this video, leave a comment about your favorite part. It will get pinned and hearted. Now let's get into the story. It was a peaceful and calm day on the seas. The sun was shining high in the sky. The seagulls were flying overhead. However, there was a huge whirlpool in the ocean. Suddenly, a giant ship passed by, and two sailors on the starboard side shivered at the sight of the whirlpool. Then the two of them heard a thump and looked down. Floating in the water was a barrel. The two men blinked and looked at each other in confusion. Brushing it off, the two men tried to hoist the barrel out of the water and onto the ship. Another sailor was on the mast, looking around, until he spotted something. Another ship heading towards theirs. A pirate ship. It was pink with hearts on its sails. The ship fired its cannons at the other ship. Alarmed the captain. The ship's under attack, shouted the sailor on the mast. The two men had managed to pull the barrel onto the ship, heard the sailor drop the barrel onto the deck, which rolled away. The sailors ran into the ship's ballroom. The ship's under attack by pirates, exclaimed the sailors. Everyone screamed and started panicking and running around like a chicken with its head cut off. However, one girl was not afraid. She had short, light orange hair and light brown eyes. As soon as she heard that there was another ship, she darted out of the room. Suddenly, the doors busted open as it was kicked, and the ballroom was filled with bloodthirsty, vicious-looking pirates. They all smirked at the scared passengers. Don't worry, we ain't gonna kill you, though we will take all the rare stuff you got here, snickered one of the pirates. Anyone who tries to resist will be spending the rest of their lives at the bottom of the ocean, a new voice shouted. A large, heavy-set woman walked into the room. She had greasy-looking hair and beady, narrow eyes. On her head was a white cowgirl hat and was wielding a spiked mace in her hand. Everyone trembled, not moving a muscle. The orange-haired girl watched from afar while she hid, with a light smile on her face. She tore off her dress and was now wearing a blue and white striped shirt with black shorts and a bandana tied to her head. She ran off the ship and jumped onto the other one while everyone was distracted. During the chaos, the barrel had rolled itself into the kitchen. The ship's kitchen doors opened and a small, timid-looking boy walked into the room. He had light pink hair and gray eyes and was wearing blue glasses and a cabin boy's uniform. Is anyone here? The boy asked. He received no response. He sighed and started looking around the kitchen. Then he spotted a barrel. Wow, that's the biggest barrel I ever seen, he said to himself as he started to push the barrel. Suddenly, three pirates blocked his way, as he did as they walked into the kitchen. Hey, Kobe, you're not hiding from us, are you? One of the pirates asked. Kobe began to sputter. His whole body began to tremble. Terrified. No way. GG guys. I was just talking to this barrel I found. Back to the ship. It looks like it's full of sake. The three pirates smirked. Sake? Ho, why don't we inspect it to make sure? Are you with me? Boys, one of the pirates asked as he took the barrel. But Lady Alvida will kill us, shouted Kobe. The other pirates smirked. We won't be killed as long as you keep your trap shut. Now quiet, snapped one of the pirates. Kobe trembled. The biggest pirate cracked his knuckles. Hold on, boys. Let me open this the old-fashioned way, he said as he raised his fist and threw them down onto the barrel. I slept Suogiariat. Suddenly, the barrel's lid popped open as someone busted out of it and shot out, colliding his fist with the bigger pirate's face, knocking him out. The other two pirates and Kobe gasped as their mouths dropped as they gaped at the boy in the barrel. The boy looked like he was 17. He had short black hair, light tan skin, and small, beady onyx black eyes. Under his left eye was a small scar. He wore a red vest with a light blue shorts which reached his knees, straw sandals, and resting on his head was a straw hat. He blinked before he looked around at his surroundings. Who's he? He asked as he saw the pirate he knocked out on the floor. He looked and also saw the other two pirates and Kobe. Who the hell are you guys? He asked. "Who the hell are you?" shouted the other two pirates. Angrily, the boy stepped out of the barrel. "Your friend will catch a cold if he's sleeping like that," he said. "You're the one who knocked him out," shouted the other two pirates. One of them pulled out his sword. "Hold on. Are you playing with us when you know we're vicious pirates?" he demanded. "I'm starved. Is there any food on this ship?" the boy asked Kobe, ignoring the other pirates. "I'm talking to you, brat," shouted the pirate as he and the other one raised their swords and slashed at the boy. Crack! Somehow, their swords broke in two. The two pirates stumbled back as they gaped, in shock seeing that the boy was unharmed. "What's wrong with you guys?" the boy asked. "Who are you? What are you?" asked the pirates as they stared at the boy in horror. The boy brushed off the dirt off of his vest and smiled. "Oh, my name is Money D. Luffy." "Hi," said Luffy as he grinned widely, showing his teeth. The pirates screamed in fear as they grabbed their knocked-out comrade and ran out of the room, terrified. What just happened?" asked Kobe. Luffy shrugged his shoulders. "Beats me," he said. Kobe stood up. "Quick, you gotta run. If they come back with their buddies, then you'll be killed on the spot," he shouted. Luffy smiled. "I don't care. Where's the food?" "I'm hungry," he said. "How can you not care? They are hundreds of them in there, willing to kill anybody," shouted Kobe. Luffy wasn't listening. His nose twitched as he smelled a wonderful scent. He tried to walk towards the source while Kobe was trying to hold him back. Luffy made it to the cellar and his eyes lit up. "Food, hooray!" Luffy cheered. He ran around the room with his mouth drooling. Kobe looked around, making sure no one was coming as Luffy began to dig into a crate full of apples. Hi, my name is Kobe. You're Luffy, right? It was really cool what you did back there," said Kobe as Luffy wolfed down the apples. "These are so awesome," Luffy said as he wiped off the juice from his lips. He smiled. "I bet she would love some. I'd better save some for later," he thought as he stashed some in the pockets of his vest. "So, are we on a pirate ship or what?" asked Luffy as he continued to eat. "No, we are on a passenger ship that's being raided by pirates. Pirates under control of Lady Alvida," Kobe said. I don't care about that. I just want to know if there are any little boats on this ship," Luffy said. "I think there might be a few," Kobe said. "Great. I need a new one cause my old one got sucked in by some whirlpool," Luffy said. "You mean that huge one outside? And you survived?" Kobe asked. Luffy smiled. "Yep, you can say it was a great way to wake up after a long nap." He laughed. Kobe smiled timidly. "So are you a pirate or a passenger?" Luffy asked. Kobe looked down. "Neither. I'm just some cabin boy. I was forced to be one because Lady Alvida's pirates captured me. They found out I was a great navigator, so they let me live. That was 2 years ago." He confessed, sadly. Luffy stopped eating. "You're pretty stupid, you know that?" he asked bluntly. Kobe sunk his head. "Gee, thanks for your honesty," he said sarcastically. "If you don't like it here so much, then leave," said Luffy. Kobe shook his head. "No way. There's no way I can do that. I can't," he yelled. Luffy smiled. You're stupid and cowardly. I hate people like you," he joked. Kobe sulked, then he smiled weakly. You're right. If I had any courage, I could sail away in a barrel and be free. I could live out my dream," he said. Luffy was quiet. "Oh, what about you, Luffy? What's the thing that drove you to sail on the seas?" asked Kobe. Luffy grinned. "I'm gonna be king of the pirates," he exclaimed. Kobe's mouth dropped. "King, are you serious?" he asked quietly with disbelief. "Yep, you heard me," Luffy said, smiling. But that would mean you're a pirate too," said Kobe. "That's right," said Luffy. "Your crew?" asked Kobe. Luffy shook his head. "I don't have one yet. Well, except for one." Suddenly, the door slammed open and the two looked to see a girl standing there, sopping wet from head to toe as her clothes were completely drenched. Kobe had to do a double take as his eyes darted back and forth at Luffy, then back towards the girl. He saw that the girl was identical to Luffy, a twin in fact. The only thing that was different was that she had long black hair. which reached the middle of her back. Her skin was a lighter tone too. Her brother, it was a sickly pale white, which looked like she didn't go outside much. She was wearing a blue shirt with short sleeves and brown pants which reached down to her ankles and black sandals. What really drew his attention was that she also had shimmering, sea foam green eyes instead dark black, like Luffy's. Then the girl narrowed her eyes as she glared at Luffy. She began to stalk over to them. "Aya, you made it," Luffy shouted happily. "Idiot." Aya smacked Luffy hard on the back of his head with her fist. Kobe immediately backed away from the two, watching in fear. Aya grabbed Luffy by his shirt and began shaking him violently like a rag. "Doll, what were you thinking? Do you have any idea how worried I was? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get here? You're alive, aren't you?" Luffy groaned. Aya repeatedly smacked him. "I had to swim across with sea-infested sharks, nearly drowned in the whirlpool, and almost died in a barrage of gunfire, all because of your stupidity," she screamed. "Love you too, sis." Luffy smiled and laughed. His face was now swollen and beaten up. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an apple, holding it to Aya's face. "Want one?" asked Luffy. Aya blinked as she stared at the apple. She felt her stomach growled at the sight of it. Aya rolled her eyes and sighed. She snatched the apple from his hand and dropped Luffy as she let go of his shirt. He slumped to the floor, rubbing his head. "This doesn't mean I'm letting you off easy," Aya murmured as she took a bite of the apple. "You're still in the dog house." Luffy smiled. Then the girl noticed Kobe cowering in the corner. "And who the hell are you?" Aya asked. Kobe jumped when she spoke to him. "See, Kobe," Kobe sputtered. "Who are you?" "I'm Aya. I'm this idiot's sister," Aya said as she jerked her thumb at Luffy. "I'm gonna be queen of the pirates." "Q queen," Kobe sputtered. "Geez, what a wimp," Aya said as she finished her apple and tossed the core away. "So, you two are gonna be king and queen of the pirates. You're talking about gaining the treasure of fame, wealth, and power. The treasure you want is the One Piece," Kobe shouted. Luffy smiled. "Yeah, you've got it all right," Luffy said. "But practically all the pirates in the world are looking for that treasure," Kobe yelled. "Yeah, so?" Aya asked, shrugging. "No way. There's no way you could survive them. They're ruthless and mean, and they'll kill you right where you are," Kobe shouted as Aya and Luffy both punched him on the head. "Why did you hit me?" Kobe asked as he rubbed his head. "'Cause I felt like it," the two twins said together. "Ah well, I'm used to stuff like that. My shipmates bash me on the head all the time," Kobe mumbled. "It's not about if I can. I'm doing this because I want to," Luffy said. "My sister and I decided long ago that we wanted to be king and queen of the pirates. If we have to die fighting for that, then we die," said Luffy as he placed his hat on his head. Kobe stood frozen in his spot. "Well, I'm off. Now that my belly's full, I might as well get my new boat. I bet if I ask nice enough, they'll give me it," Luffy said as he and his sister began to walk out of the room. "I never thought about it like that. If I had that much courage, then do you think I could do it too?" asked Kobe. Luffy and Aya turned to look at him. "Do what?" asked Aya. Do you think I could ever join the Marines?" asked Kobe. Luffy tilted his head. "The Marines?" he asked. "Why, yeah, catching bad guys is the only thing I ever wanted to do. It's been my dream ever since I was a child." "Do you think I could do it?" asked Kobe. Luffy smiled and shrugged. "I don't know. Do what you want to do," he said. Kobe nodded. "Okay, I will then. I won't be a cabin boy for the rest of my life. I'll leave and then become a Marine, and then I can capture Alvida." He shouted. Suddenly, the room started to shake, then the ceiling came crashing down. As the dust settled, it was revealed to be Alvida. "Who is it you're going to capture, Kobe? You really think that these pieces of crap are going to help you?" roared Alvida. Kobe quivered at the sight of her. Alvida looked up and saw Luffy and Aya. "My guess is you're not Zoro, the pirate hunter, aren't you?" she asked. "Luffy." "Zoro," Luffy asked, tilting his head, blinking. "Who's he?" Aya asked. "Kobe." "Who is the most beautiful of all the seas?" demanded Alvida. Kobe flinched and nervously looked around. Aya leaned and whispered to Luffy she's kidding, right? Shit, asked WWW. Well, hey, Kobe, who's the old hack? Luffy asked. A dead silence filled the room with Alvida's in Kobe's mouth dropped open. Aya was laughing. Alvida grinded her teeth as many veins appeared, pulsing on her face. Don't you ever think before you speak? Asked Aya, still laughing as she tried to catch her breath. What? Luffy asked as he shrugged his shoulders. She's huge. This lady's a bloated whale. Aya lost it and keeled over in laughter. Luffy, shut up. Kobe shouted. You little rat, shouted Alvida. She brings her mace down on top of Luffy, narrowly missing him as he dodged it. Luffy grabbed Aya's wrist and Kobe's shoulder and jumped out of the cellar and on to the deck. He landed on his feet and smirked at Alvida's crew. Several men charged at them. Aya pushed Kobe away as a pirate came at her with a sword. She dodged out of the way as she stepped to the side and the sword sliced in the air between her and Kobe, missing them. Kobe stared in wide eyes with his knees shaking. Aya quickly kneed the pirate in the gut and he fell down and she kicked him on the back of his head, knocking him out. Kobe scurried away as the pirate fell at his feet. Several pirates charged at Luffy, but he managed to evade them. A pirate was sneaking up from behind, but Luffy dodged out of the way. How rude. Attacking from behind is cheating, Luffy said. He turned and saw more pirates glaring at him with large swords. He blinked and started running. Why is everyone ganging up on me? He shouted as the pirates were right behind him, chasing after him. Then Luffy grabbed onto a post and continued running. His arm began to stretch as he did. The pirates stopped and watched in confusion, then saw Luffy coming back towards them as he slingshot himself. They tried to run away, but it was already too late. Luffy smirked. Gum Gum Rocket, he shouted as he charged through the men. All of them were knocked out from the blow as they fell to the floor one by one. Alvida and Kobe stared in shock and awe. Aya smiled. Luffy smiled and fixed his hat. Luffy, what are you? Asked Kobe. Luffy smiled and pulled on the corners of his lips and stretched them. I'm a rubber man, he said. Kobe stared at him with disbelief while Alvida jumped onto the deck, shaking the boat. Kobe trembled and he ran behind Luffy and Aya. Alvida glared at the two of them. So, you've eaten one of the legendary devil fruit, haven't you? She asked. Luffy smiled and nodded. Yeah, it was the Gum Gum one, he said. I've heard rumors that they existed, but I never seen evidence of them until today. You're very skilled for just a young man. Tell me, are you a bounty hunter or a marine? Asked Alvida. We're pirates, said Aya. Pirates, by yourselves. How stupid are you? Taunted Alvida. Who are you calling stupid, fatty? Asked Aya. The veins on Alvida's face looked like they were about to pop as she glared at the girl. Angrily, it's just us for now, but we're going to start building up a crew. Maybe 10 or more guys in a week or two. I don't know yet, Luffy said, shrugging. Tell me if we're both pirates and we're not under the same flag. Alvida held up her mace. That makes us both enemies. Correct, she asked. Luffy, Aya, Kobe whispered. Luffy winked at him. Kobe blinked before remembering Luffy's words. My sister and I decided long ago that we wanted to become king and queen of the pirates. If we have to die fighting for that, then we die. Well, Kobe, what is it you wanted to say? Alvida asked, smugly. Kobe blinked, then he glared at Alvida. You're the biggest and ugliest pirate of all the seas, he shouted. Silence filled the whole ship as Alvida and her crew jaws dropped. Alvida looked even more madder than she did before. Luffy threw his head back laughing, really hard. Aya covered her mouth and snickered. What did you say? Growled Alvida. I'm leaving and joining the Marines, and I'm going to lock away dirty pirates like you, shouted Kobe. Do you have any idea what you're saying to me? Alvida growled. I know what I said and I'll do what I want. I'll go to the Marines and I'll join them. And as soon as I do that, I'm gonna catch your fat ass. First, shouted Kobe. Alvida roared in anger and thrusted her mace at Kobe. Kobe froze in his spot. Spoken like a true Marine, shouted Luffy as he stood in front of Kobe. A mace came down on his head. Alvida gave a shocked look, seeing that Luffy was unharmed. Luffy grinned. "That won't work. I'm made of rubber," he said in a sing-song voice. He threw his fist back and it stretched all the way into the sky. "Come 'em. Luffy started as his fist came back. "Pistol!" shouted Luffy as his fist connected in Alvida's gut as he punched her, sending her flying. Aya smiled seeing Alvida sail off in the sky, drifting farther away. Kobe and the crew stood with a dumbfounded look on their faces. "Hey!" The crew flinched when Luffy turned to them. "Go and find a boat and give it to Kobe. He's leaving the ship and joining the Marines. Don't stop him, all right?" he asked. "Why, yes," the crew stuttered. Kobe blinked before smiling. "Thanks, Luffy, Aya," he stuttered. Luffy smiled. Suddenly, there were cannonballs being fired at the ship, landing near it. The ship tilted side to side as the rough waves hit against it. Luffy, Aya, and Kobe looked and saw a marine ship a few feet away. "Those are marine boats," said Kobe. "Sweet. What luck." "Huh. Let's say our hellos," said Luffy as he ran towards to where a group of boats were. "Luffy will get arrested on the spot. Think about it first," Aya scolded. "Wait up. We'll get captured if they spot us," shouted Kobe as he followed after her. The three jumped into the boat and the boat went crashing into the water. Aya and Kobe nearly fell overboard as it did. Kobe clung to Aya and she tried to get him off of her. As the two fought, Luffy noticed another boat next to theirs and saw the orange-haired girl. Their eyes met each other briefly before the girl started paddling away, leaving them. Luffy, Aya, and Kobe were now sailing in the middle of the ocean. "I can't believe we managed to escape," Kobe said as he looked at the water. "Yeah, what fun," Luffy exclaimed as he laughed. "Hey, you two, if you're searching for the elusive One Piece, that means you're heading for the Grand Line, right?" Kobe asked. The two nodded. "You know, a lot of people call that place the Pirates' Graveyard," Kobe said grimly. "Yep, that's why we need a really strong crew. You guys were talking about some pirate hunter, right? What's he like?" asked Luffy. "Yeah, who is he?" Io asked. "Oh, you mean Roronoa Zoro. Last time I heard, he was held prisoner at some marine base," Kobe said. Luffy looked a little disappointed. "Oh, so a weakling, right?" he asked. Kobe stood up and shook his head. "No way. Roronoa Zoro is as vicious and violent as a demon and 3 times as horrifying." "Wait, why are you asking about him anyway?" Kobe asked. Luffy made a grin. "I guess if he's strong as you say, he could be good enough to join my crew," he said. "Yeah, he sounds like a badass," Aya said, agreeing. Kobe nearly fell out of the boat. "You're kidding, right? He could kill you two with one strike," he said. Luffy shrugged. "You never know. He might jump at the chance to join us," Luffy said. "No way. He's one of the most wanted men ever. He's big and mean." "And Owa," shouted Kobe as the two twins hit him on the head again. "Why'd you hit me?" "'Cause we felt like it," the two twins said together. Aya smirked. "Oh," Luffy groaned as he rubbed his arm as Aya punched him hard. "Jinx," she exclaimed. While Luffy and Kobe stared at the ocean, Aya leaned back and reached into pocket and pulled out a necklace with a round gold coin attached to it. She held up into the sky staring at it, twirling with her fingers. The coin had a skull in the center of it. "I wonder what the One Piece is," she thought as she stared at the coin. "What's that?" a voice called out to her. Aya looked to see Kobe looking at the coin. She sat up showing it to him. "I don't know. It's something I had ever since I was a baby," Aya said. Kobe took it, looking over the details of the coin, tracing his finger of the rough and detailed edges. "It's beautiful," Kobe said as he stared. "Yeah, it's great," Aya said sarcastically. "Can I have it back?" she asked, holding her hand out. "I'd give it back if I were you," Luffy laughed. "The last time I tried to look at it and wouldn't give it back, Aya tried to break my arm." Kobe yelped and immediately gave Aya back the coin. She took it and put it back into her pocket. The three of them sailed off, heading towards the marine base. "What a day. It's gorgeous," exclaimed Luffy. He, Aya, and Kobe have been sailing for some time and the weather was steady and Clear. Kobe nodded his head in agreement. Yeah, as long as the weather goes this good and we take this path, we'll be at the marine base in no time, he said. Luffy turned to him, with his eyes sparkling with excitement. You mean it? Hot dog. You're the best, Kobe. How do you even know? Asked Luffy. I know this stuff because all sailors must know their ways of the seas, said Kobe. Luffy turned back to the ocean and laughed. That's what I've always been telling him, but my big brother always rush into things with thinking. By the way, how are we going to get into a marine base without getting caught, Luffy? We're pirates, remember, said Aya. Luffy didn't answer, and he's not listening. I don't see what's to be so perky right now, Luffy. Besides, at the marine base, Kobe said with a frightened look on his face, they are holding the great pirate hunter, Roronoa Zoro. This is the man who diced up his bounties like an animal bent on carnage. A bloodthirsty beast. He's been called nothing less than a living, breathing demon in human form, like he was sent straight from hell. All of the more reason to check him out, said Aya. All right, we're here, the marine base city, yelled Luffy excitedly as the boat pulled up to the port to a small island with many buildings. They docked it and Kobe tied up the boat to a post. He, Luffy, and Aya walked around, exploring the city. Luffy's head started darting around wildly at all the booths and people. Aya was looking around, keeping a lookout, while Kobe looked uncomfortable. Luffy, seriously, you two are out of your mind if you think this guy is gonna want to join your crew, said Kobe. I haven't made up my mind yet. I first gotta see if he's a good guy, Luffy said as he walked ahead. Plus, we need to see how tough he is, Aya added. He's imprisoned because he's obviously not, Kobe shouted as Luffy bought a pear and took a bite out of it. Hey, is that pirate hunter Zoro around here? He asked the shopkeeper. A lady who was selling the fruits and some other people jumped back in shock. They stared at Luffy with wide eyes as their bodies shook in fear, leaving the three confused by what happened. Luffy blinked. Aya walked by him and whispered in Luffy's ear. Yeah, we shouldn't probably go around announcing out loud that we're looking for him, she said. Then she smacked Luffy on his head. Idiot, maybe we shouldn't mention the name Zoro around here, Kobe whispered suggestively. Luffy shrugged and the three began walking again. Aya felt like she was being watched. She saw some people giving her suspicious looks. Aya heard two men were whispering to each other. Do you think she's a witch? Asked one of the men. What are you whispering about? Shouted Aya angrily. The two men jumped and trembled in fear. They ran away from her. Run, she'll put a curse on us, shouted one of the men as they ran. Aya rolled her eyes, following after Luffy and Kobe. Let's head to the base. You said you wanted to be a marine, right? Luffy asked. I do, Luffy. I'm just not that sure if I'm ready. From what I've heard, the man who runs the base is someone called Captain Morgan, said Kobe. Once again, the people jumped back when Kobe mentioned Morgan's name. Kobe and Luffy blinked. The three of them continued walking. Aya looked over her shoulder, seeing the people still shaking in fear. Strange town, she mumbled under her breath. Ha ha, this town is such a weird place. Luffy laughed as the three continued walking. Kobe was lost in thought. That was strange. I understand why they're afraid of Zoro, him being a killer and all, but why did they get scared when I said the Marine captain's name? He asked. Maybe they did it for the fun of it, suggested Luffy. How does that make any sense? Asked Kobe. He's probably corrupted, Aya added. Kobe stopped in his tracks and glared at Aya. You take that back, he shouted. What? All I'm saying is that he's probably abusing his power, said Aya. The Marines don't do that, Kobe shouted. Aya smirked, then leaned in toward Kobe's face, then flicked her finger on his forehead. Face reality, kid. Some people do that, she said, especially the higher-ups. You shut your mouth right now, growled Kobe. Why, you want to fight me? How cute. Aya laughed. Don't you touch me, Kobe shouted. Aya took a step closer to him, and he backed away. Why? Scared that I'll get my evil pirate cooties all over you, Aya taunted. Shut up, growled Kobe. Luffy let out a whistle. Wow, this must be the place, he said. The two stopped and looked to see a huge gate in front of them. It was the Marines' base. Kobe looked like he was going to cry. I made it. Thank you so much, Luffy. I can't believe we're going to have to go our own ways even though I find you as my best. Fry, where's the foothold or something? Asked Luffy as he tried to climb over the stone wall. Get off of there, Luffy, or they'll see you and you'll get arrested, yelled Kobe. I aside. What an idiot. Luffy blocked the sunlight with his hand as he scoured. Okay, so where's that demon? They're probably hiding him in an underground prison cell or something. They wouldn't just show him out and found him, exclaimed Luffy. Kobe and I managed to climb up the wall and looked over to see a man far off in the distance, tied to a post. He was wearing a black bandana on his head, a white shirt, and dark green pants and black boots. That's him, right, Kobe? Asked Luffy. Kobe trembled in fear. If we untie those ropes, he could just walk away, right? Asked Luffy. No way. If we do that, he'll just kill us all with one strike, shouted Kobe. Luffy grinned. Don't worry, me and my sis are really strong, so there's nothing to be afraid of, he said. You both have lost your marbles, shouted Kobe. Hey, you three. They hear a voice call out to them, roughly. Kobe flinched. Your eyesores. Get lost, muttered Zoro. Kobe yelped and grabbed Luffy's arm. Come on, let's just go, Luffy. There's no way a criminal like him would want to be on your crew, he yelled. Then a ladder landed near Luffy and I looked and saw a little girl climbing up it. The little girl turned to the three and shushed them. Then she climbed over the wall, holding a small package in her hands. We gotta save her or else she'll be killed by the Marines or the demon himself, yelled Kobe. Neither Luffy or I made a move. They watched as the little girl ran over to Zoro and smiled at him. What do you want? Zoro asked. The little girl smiled. I thought you'd be getting hungry now, so I made you some rice balls, she said, unwrapping the package. You got a death wish, kid. Get lost, said Zoro. The girl held out 2 rice balls to him. But you haven't eaten in a long time. So here, I made them myself. It's my first try though, she said. Listen, kid, you're really starting to bug the living hell out of me. So, why don't you just scram? Zoro threatened. But do not make me kick your ass, little girl. Get lost, yelled Zoro. Now, no one likes a bully, a loud annoying voice called out. Zoro blared as a man with 2 Marine soldiers walked up. Roronoa. Zoro, you seem to be handling the situation well, aren't you? Asked the man. Who's the other weird guy? Asked Luffy. Kobe sighed in relief. Thank God. He looks like he's with the Marines. At least we know the little girl will be safe, he said. Aya frowned as she stared at the man. She didn't like him, not one bit. I'm not so sure about that, said Aya. What do you mean? Asked Kobe. I don't like the looks of this guy, said Aya. The man took a rice ball from the girl. Yum, some tasty rice balls, he said. That's not for you, cried the little girl. The man took a bite out of it. His face twisted with disgust. He spat out the rice ball and threw it to the ground along with the second one and stomped on it. No, stop that, please, cried the little girl. You imbecile. You filled this rice ball with sugar. It's supposed to be salt, yelled the man as he stomped one last time, destroying the rice balls. But the little girl was about to cry. I worked so hard to make oats. Too bad, brat. Dispose of her immediately or my father will have your heads, the man commanded. Aya growled as her hands gripped the scaffolding in anger. She was about to move, but Luffy grabbed her shoulder so she wouldn't jump over the wall. One of the soldiers hesitantly grabbed the little girl. I'm sorry, just curl into a ball, okay? Asked the man as he threw the girl. The little girl cried as she was thrown over the wall. Luffy, catch her, shouted Aya. Luffy quickly stretched his arms out and grabbed the little girl. The two landed on the ground roughly. Luffy's hat fell off as well. Thanks, mister, said the little girl. Luffy blinked before smiling. No problem, he said. Kobe and I ran over to the two. Luffy, are you guys okay? God, how can that man be so cruel? asked Kobe as he checked over the little girl to see any signs of injury. I said it once, kid, said Aya. Corruption. You shut up. You don't know what you're talking about, growled Kobe. Man, you're stubborn, shouted Aya. What's it going to take for you to get it through your thick head? Luffy picked his hat up as he stood up, ignoring the two who were scrabbling with each other. Damn you, muttered Zoro under his breath. He glared at the snickering man. Trying to keep your composure, Roronoa. My, you really want to get out of here, don't you? Asked the man. That's right, I'll make through the month. Just you watch, muttered Zoro. A man began snorting as he howled in laughter. Yeah, right. Keep dreaming, Roronoa, snorted the man as he and his men walked away. Kobe sighed in relief seeing that the girl was unharmed. Okay, you look fine. How can that man be so heartless? Kobe asked himself. He and Aya looked around and saw that Luffy was nowhere to be seen. What the? Now where'd he go? He asked. Zoro sighed as he closed his eyes, trying to gather up his thoughts. For some reason, he felt like he was being watched. He opened his eyes and saw a boy wearing a straw hat standing in front of him. Zoro blinked. Luffy looked at him with a calm look on his face. So, I hear you're a bad guy, he said. You're still here? Asked Zoro, bored. You're tied up here for the whole world to see, and for what? Nothing. Are you sure as strong as they say? Asked Luffy. Mind your own business, kid, muttered Zoro. Luffy sighed and walked closer to Zoro. If I were you, I'd probably starve in 3 days, Luffy joked. Zoro smirked. Heh, I have more spirit than you know, which is how I'll survive this ordeal. This, I swear, he said confidently. Luffy grinned. Huh, you're such a weirdo, he joked as he began to walk away. Wait, hold on, Zoro called out. Luffy stopped. Zoro looked down at his feet. Could you pick that up for me? He asked, seeing the dirty mud-covered rice ball on the ground. Luffy blinked and picked it up. You wanna eat this? But it looks ruined already and mostly a ball of mud. Shut up and give it to me, kid, yelled Zoro. Shrugging, Luffy walked up to Zoro and tossed the rice ball into the swordsman's mouth. It tasted horrible, but at least it was better than starving to death. Zoro coughed as he felt some dirt in his mouth. Luffy giggled. You should have listened to me, said Luffy in a giggling tone. No, it was good. Tell that kid that I said thanks, muttered Zoro. Luffy walked away, tilting his straw hat. Luffy, Aya, and Kobe walked with the little girl, which they discovered that her name was Rika. You mean it? He said that, asked the little girl. Yep, and ate it all up, said Luffy, smiling. Rika beamed as she smiled happily. Kobe placed a finger on his chin, thinking. Huh, I'm starting wonder if Roronoa Zoro is as bad as everyone says, he said. Rika shook her head. No way. Big brother Zoro is a good guy. After all, a little girl looked to the ground. He saved this town, she whispered. What do you mean? Asked Aya. Rika twiddled her thumbs. It's all Helmeppo's fault. He's the son of Captain Morden. 3 weeks ago, he brought a vicious wolf into town and it terrified the living daylights out of everyone. But then Zoro came and he nearly finished off Helmeppo. That big meanie threatened to kill me and my mom. But he said that if Zoro could survive being tied up to that big host for a month, then he could be let go. But Helmeppo keeps cheating by trying to break Zoro's spirit. It's not fair, cried Rika as she began to sob. Suddenly, there was a loud crash that came from the little girl's family restaurant. The 4 ran towards the building. It was Helmeppo. He was throwing orders and terrorizing and giving death threats to everyone. Luffy and Aya clenched their fists as they watched in anger. Aya gritted her teeth as she glared at the man. I am incredibly bored now and I'm trying to find something fun to do. I suppose I can just have Zoro executed. Oh, wouldn't that be hysterical, snorted the blonde as he threw his head back and laughed. Suddenly, a fist shot out and cracked Helmeppo right in the jaw. Aya punched him and his face slammed into a wall. Kobe's mouth dropped in horror while Luffy stared in silence at his sister. Helmeppo slumped on the floor as he glared up at Aya. She was breathing heavily and gritted her teeth as she seethed in rage, looking down at this disgusting excuse for a human being. How dare you? Why you hit me? Exclaimed Helmeppo as his men tried to help him up. He gaped at her in shock, staring at her seafoam green eyes. Why you witch? No, how dare you call yourself a marine? You disgusting piece of trash, said Io as she glared at him. She raised her fist getting ready to punch him again, but Kobe grabbed her arm, holding Io back. Io, stop it. What's wrong with you? Asked Kobe. I'm teaching this scum a lesson, said Io. This guy is a no-good piece of shit. You little brat. Do you know who I am? Demanded Helmeppo. I don't give a rat's ass who you are, shouted Io. You'll give a damn when your head hangs from the gallows, yelled Helmeppo. I'd like to see you try, punk, shouted Io. Io, stop it. Why are you trying to pick a fight with this guy? Shouted Kobe. Well, I guess that settles it, said Luffy. Kobe turns to look at him, while holding Io back. I've made up my mind, Kobe. Today, Zoro joins my crew, said Luffy. You're weak, Zoro. Nothing ever changes. Zoro's eyes shot open as bullets of sweat ran down his face. Zoro took calm breaths, trying to steady his heart. I can't die here. I made a promise, thought the swordsman. Then a shadow stood over him. Zoro looked up to see Luffy again. You again? Don't you have things to do? Asked Zoro, irritated. I'll untie you, as long as you promise to join my crew, said Luffy as he took a step towards the swordsman. You're what? Asked Zoro. Me and my sister are running a pirate crew, and we need people to join, said Luffy. Zoro smirked. No way, as if I'd stoop to that level. Joining a pirate crew is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. Screw that business, he said, turning his head away. What's wrong with being a pirate? Asked Luffy. They're lowlifes. Joining them is the last thing I'd ever do, said Zoro. Luffy smiled. Come on, everyone knows that you're some kind of killer with a crave of bloodlust, he said. People could say what they want to say, but there is not a single thing in my life I regret. I'll make through this month and I'll accomplish what I desire, said Zoro. Luffy blinked. That's cool, but I still decided that you're joining my crew, he said, grinning. What? You can't do that, Zoro yelled. Luffy grinned. I've heard that you're one of the best swordsmen out there, he said. I am. It's just that hell whatever that bastard's name is took my katana, said Zoro. Luffy winked. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to go get it then, he said. What? Asked Zoro. If I get your katana back, then you're joining my crew, said Luffy. You're really starting to piss me off, kid, yelled Zoro. Luffy giggled as he ran off. How, genius, you're going the wrong way, said Zoro. Luffy paused. Gum Gum Rocket, yelled Luffy as he flinged himself past Zoro. Zoro stared in disbelief. What the hell is this guy? He asked himself. Luffy hunched over, panting. Sheesh, where is that idiot that stole Zoro's swords? He asked himself. Then he heard several voices above him. Wonder what's going on up there. Might as well check it out, said Luffy. He stretched his arms to the roof edge of the marine base. Gum Gum Rocket, he yelled as he flew up. But he was gaining too much speed. Too far, too far, too far, yelled Luffy as he flew higher. The soldiers on the roof looked up and saw Luffy as he grabbed onto the rope they were using to pull a statue. He breaks off a piece of the statue as he landed on the roof. The soldiers gaped in horror, gasping at Luffy. Luffy looked at the men, scratching his head. Whoops, sorry about that, he said sheepishly. A man glared at him furiously. He was huge and had blonde hair, and one of his hand was an axe. Seize him at once. I want to kill him myself, ordered the man. Sir, yes, sir, shouted the marine soldiers. That's him. He's friends with the witch who hit me, yelled Helmeppo. There you are. I've been looking for you everywhere, yelled Luffy. He grabbed Helmeppo in a chokehold, dragging him off inside the marine base. After him, shouted the marine captain. The marine soldiers chased after the Straw Hat Pirate. Inside the base, Luffy dragged Helmeppo down the hallways. Helmeppo was crying in terror as he did. Hey, dude, tell me where you're keeping Zoro's katana, said Luffy. Okay, I'll tell you, cried Helmeppo. Luffy stopped, listening. Okay, so where is it? He asked. Helmeppo pointed in a direction. In my room. We just passed it. He whimpered. Luffy sighed. Really? Dang, I guess we're gonna have to go back then. He said. Halt! Release Helmeppo at once. Luffy turned to see 3 Marine soldiers aiming their rifles at him. No way. But you could shoot me if you want, said Luffy. He held Helmeppo in front of him like a shield. Helmeppo screamed. Luffy ran forward, ramming into the soldiers. With Helmeppo, Zoro felt the ropes that were binding him being tugged. He looked to see Luffy. What are you doing here? I thought you were going to hit my katana back, asked Zoro, confused. Then he realized his mistake. It wasn't Luffy. Instead, it was a girl. Sea foam green eyes stared back into his. Zoro blushed. He hated to admit it, but he thought she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Oh, hell, there's 2 of you, shouted Zoro, shocked. Aya giggled as she continued to try to untie the ropes. That was my brother, said Aya. I'm here to get you out of here. Hobie, get your ass over here. Now, Hobie ran over and started to help with the ropes. Great, just what I needed, Zoro muttered under his breath. Another brat. Aya stopped what she was doing. She narrowed her eyes at Zoro. Don't ever compare me to my brother, said Aya, coldly. I'm nothing like him. Zoro froze. You have to get out of here, Zoro, said Kobe as he got a knot undone. Listen, you two. That manic will kill you when he finds you both. Helping me, said Zoro. I don't care. I just can't see the Marine's name being treated like this. The Marines should be honorable, said Kobe. But thank you for caring, said Aya as she smiled. Zoro blushed, then he shook his head. Look, I can't leave. I'll be out in 10 days, and actually, they were planning on killing you tomorrow. Aya interrupted. Zoro paused. What? Asked Zoro in disbelief. Helmeppo was not planning on holding his promise to you. He planned on killing you from the start, which made Aya and Luffy really angry. Aya even hit him for it. Kobe explained as he got a few of the knots undone. Yeah, and now the Marines are dead serious on catching the 2. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to be a pirate. I just hope you help them. You 3 are incredibly strong, and you can save each other from a tragic fate, said Kobe. Zoro was silent. End of the line, shouted a voice. Kobe and Aya froze, then turned to see a tall, heavyset man with a huge axe for a hand with 10 Marine soldiers. For the crime of treason against me, I sentence the 3 of you to execution, said the large man as his men readied their rifles. Kobe, Aya, and Zoro froze. Luffy, where are you? Thought Aya. Luffy entered a room and looked around. The room was pink, like a tornado barfed all over the place. Yep, this looks like yours. He said. His eyes spotted 3 katanas resting by the 2 of the swords had black sheaths. Another sword stood out from the rest. It had a white sheath instead. Wait, there's 3 of them. Hey, weirdo, which one's Zoro's? Asked Luffy. Helmeppo was out like a light. Huh, must have fell asleep, said Luffy. He looked out the window and saw Kobe, Aya, and Zoro being targeted with rifles by the Marines. Luffy gasped and quickly grabbed the 3 katanas. He ran over towards the window and opened it. Luffy clutched the windowsill and walked back, his arms stretching. As he did, Gum Gum Rocket, shouted Luffy as he launched himself out of the window. Fire! The sound of gunshot echoed as they fired. Luffy landed in front of the 3. Everyone watched as the bullets made contact with his body. Luffy and OOO, shouted Kobe. Straw Hat, shouted Zoro. Their eyes widened as they saw the bullets pulling back Luffy's skin as it stretched. Grinning, Luffy stretched his body and the bullets rebounded back. Suya, yelled Luffy as a bullet nearly missed the Marine captain's head. Luffy threw his head back and laughed. That won't work on me. I told you I was strong, laughed Luffy while everyone, except Aya, stared at him with disbelief. Nice of you to show up at the last minute, said Aya as she tried to steady her heartbeat. She stood up and walked over to Luffy and hit him on the back of the head. What the hell were you doing? What took you so long? She shouted. Ouch, why'd you hit me? Shouted Luffy as he held his head in. pain for being a dumbass. Aya shouted back. Who the hell are you? Asked Zoro. Luffy turned to him and winked. My name's Monkey D. Luffy, and I'm gonna be king of the pirates, he said confidently. The shock fell from Zoro's face, and he rolled his eyes. King of the pirates. Yeah, right. Do you have any idea what that means? He asked. King of the pirates means it sounds like. How can someone not know what it means? Besides, she has the same dream as mine. Aya's going to become queen. Luffy asked. Kobe nodded his head, grinning. Yeah, it sounds really nuts and impossible, but it really looks like they're serious. They have every intention on becoming the king and queen of the pirates. They have their mind set on obtaining the One Piece, said Kobe. Zoro raised his eyebrow. Luffy held out the 3 swords to Zoro. Here you go, just like I promised. I didn't know which one was yours, so I brought all of them, said Luffy. They're all mine, kid. I am a user of the 3-sword style, said Zoro. Luffy shrugged, still holding out the swords. Just take them already. Just know that if you fight with me, you'll become a government-defying villain. It's either that or you're left here, killed by the Marines, execution style, he said. Zoro smirked. What are you, the son of the devil? It doesn't matter, because if I don't choose your side, I'll end up dead on the sticks. So let's see what you got, he said. Luffy pumped his fist in the air. All right, you're finally joining my crew. This is the best day ever. Hick cheered. Would you quit fooling around and get these ropes off me? Shouted Zoro, annoyed. The entire time, the Marines stood in shock at what they had just witnessed. Nobody should have been able to survive that. Straw Hat's different from the rest of us. He must have eaten of those legendary devil fruit we've heard about, said Captain Morgan. The Marines gasped. Yes, the very fruit that gives the one who consumes it otherworldly powers. The power to breathe fire. The power to cause tsunamis. Little is known about them, and it seems that Straw Hat has just shown the power of his devil fruit. Well, Captain Morgan held his axe into the air. If we can't shoot them, charge, he yelled as he and his men charged at the 4. Clang! The sound of swords clashing were heard. The Marines stood frozen in fear as they saw that Zoro was released from his binds. He was now standing before them with 2 swords in his hands and 1 in his mouth. Make 1 move and you die, said Zoro as he glared at the soldiers. The soldiers froze in terror, not moving an inch. Today I'll officially become a criminal. Having fought the Marines, I'll become a pirate, that I can promise you. But I tell you this now. Being a pirate won't stop me from fulfilling my ambition, said Zoro. What's that? Asked Io. To be nothing less than the world's greatest swordsman. If something along the way stops me, then I'm making the 2 of you take full responsibility, after which you have to apologize to me, he said. Luffy smiled. The world's greatest swordsman. Sounds pretty cool. The king and queen of the pirates would have nothing less, said Luffy. Zoro nodded. Big talk coming from you. From this point on, whether I'm a criminal or not, I will let the name Zoro be known throughout the world. Hick said. Kill them at once, yelled Captain Morgan. The soldiers charged. Again, better duck, said Luffy. Zoro quickly ducks down. Gum gum, rocket, yelled Luffy. He knocked down the soldiers in 1 sweep. Zoro gasped. Just what are you? He asked. Luffy smiled. I'm the guy who ate the gum gum fruit, he said. Luffy rushed forward towards Captain Morgan. Bring those Marines right down to their knees, shouted Kobe. Luffy threw his arm back, punched Captain Morgan but hit his axe instead. You brat, you have no right to defy my superiority. I am the Marine, Captain S.M. Morgan, shouted Morgan. I'm Luffy. Nice to meet ya, said Luffy. Captain Morgan swung at him, but Luffy jumped out of the way and into the air. The captain's axe slammed into the ground. Kobe's eyes widened in shock as his mouth dropped. While in the air, Luffy slammed his feet into Morgan's face, knocking the captain down. Luffy landed on his feet as Morgan started to get back up. The Marines watched in shock. You brat, growled Morgan. Die. Luffy rushed towards him and dodged out off the way as the captain swung at him. He kicked him in the face, knocking Morgan down too. the ground. The soldiers froze. Luffy grabbed the captain's shirt and threw back his fist. "You're going to pay for crushing Kobe's dream," shouted Luffy as he punched Morgan. "Hey, stop," shouted Helmeppo. Luffy ignored him and continued, punching Morgan. "Hell, you idiot. I said stop," shouted Morgan. "Oi, Straw Hat," Zoro called out. Luffy stopped and turned. Helmeppo had a gun pointed at Aya's head. Kobe didn't move a muscle. "If you care about her life, don't move. I'll shoot if you do anything else," yelled Helmeppo. Aya glared at him. Luffy smiled. "You really shouldn't have done that." Luffy giggled. "She's not afraid to die." Helmeppo's eyes widened in shock. Suddenly, a hand gripped his wrist tightly and twisted it painfully. Helmeppo cried out in pain as he dropped the gun and it fell to the ground. Aya kneed the man behind, his leg knocking him down. Kobe watched in amazement. Zoro stood impressed. Luffy grinned. "You witch," Helmeppo shouted in pain, clutching his broken wrist. "I'll see you hanged for this." "Shut up," said Aya. She threw back her fist and punched Helmeppo in the face. He fell to the ground, knocked out. Suddenly, Captain Morgan appeared behind Luffy, raising his axe. "Luffy, behind you," warned Kobe. Captain Morgan was about to hit Luffy on the head, but Zoro rushed forward and sliced his sword straight through the captain. "Captain," Morgan let out a gasp, then he fell on his knees to the ground. Zoro landed behind him on his feet perfectly. The captain didn't move at all. He was dead. The Marines cheered. "That weird. They seem pretty happy that he's dead," said Kobe. Luffy shrugged and smiled at Zoro. "Thanks for the help," he said. "Yo, thanks," Aya said. Zoro smirked and nodded. "Just doing my job, Captain," he said. Luffy smiled and laughed. Zoro's smirk turned into a smile. Suddenly, his eyes began to close, then he fell backwards, collapsing on the ground. "Zoro, are you okay?" asked Kobe, panicking. Zoro opened his eyes and groaned. "Yeah, I'm just hungry," he said. Luffy blinked before throwing his head back, laughing. Everyone went back to Rika's family restaurant. There were people in there who were chattering very loudly and celebrating. "Man, I can't remember I had a last good meal like that. I was ready to eat my own bootstrap if I didn't get anything to eat," said Zoro in a joking tone. His bandana was now tied around his shoulder, revealing short sea green hair. Kobe, Rika, and Rika's mother were laughing, while Luffy was wolfing and gobbling down the food. "You finished already? There's a shock," said Rika's mother. "How could you have a bigger appetite than a guy who hasn't eaten in 3 weeks?" asked Zoro. Luffy shrugged. "My brother's always been like that. It's like his secret power or something," said Aya in a joking tone. "I'm just enjoying the food." "Right, Kobe," Luffy said. Kobe laughed. "Yeah, thanks for fixing this up for us, by the way," said Kobe. Rika's mother smiled. "My pleasure. After all, you did save the town," she said. "You two are the coolest people I've ever met," said Rika to Luffy. "And Aya." Luffy grinned. "Heck yeah, we are. And we'll be even cooler when we're king and queen of the pirates and get the One Piece. Oh yeah, when we get the strongest crew in the seas," he said. "So, how many other crew members do you have besides me and her?" Zoro asked. Luffy took a sip from his orange juice. "Just you," he said. Zoro's smile fell. He pointed to himself. "Meh, you know, that doesn't amount to a good enough crew." "Hick," said. Luffy shrugged. "So, we're pretty strong," he said. "Well, do you at least have a boat?" asked Zoro. Luffy pointed out the window to a small boat that was tied and docked to a post. Zoro fell off of his seat. "How did I get myself suckered into this?" he asked himself. "You two have got to be the worst pirates ever in history." "Hey, watch it," growled Aya. "Come on, it'll be loads of fun," said Luffy, smiling. Zoro rolled his eyes. "Say, Luffy, where are you guys planning on going after you leave?" "Here," asked Rika. Luffy grinned. "The Grand Line, of course," he said. Kobe coughed as he nearly choked on his juice. "No way, that's too dangerous," he shouted. Luffy tilted his head. "Why?" he asked. Kobe looked down. "As you probably know, that place is so dangerous that only one man was able to pass it, and that was the king of the pirates himself, Gol D. Roger. It is said that the pirate king had placed his most valuable treasure, the One Piece, at this location. Many countless men had tried to obtain this treasure, but it led them all to the same terrible fate. There's a reason why that place is called a pirate's graveyard. No one had ever made it out. They're alive, said Kobe as he began to tremble. Luffy leaned back in his chair. Hey, I'm not afraid. We're still going there anyway, he said. I guess we have to live with it, said Aya. Kobe stood up from his chair. No, you can't, he yelled. Zoro raised an eyebrow. Why do you care? You're not planning on coming with us, are you? He asked. Kobe shook his head. No, but I still find Luffy and Aya as great friends, even though we haven't known each other for long. Right, guys? Asked Kobe. Luffy grinned. Aya smiled. Of course, even though we have to part ways, we'll always be friends, he said. Kobe smiled sadly. When I was just a little kid, I never had any friends. None that would fight on my behalf either. So I always tried my hardest to never fight for anything. But the three of you have taught me a lesson I could never learn on my own. You taught me how to fight for what I believe in. So I decided to make my dream a reality. I'm gonna join the Marines, he said confidently. Good for you, said Aya. I'm glad you're sticking up for yourself. You follow your dream. Kobe blushed. Suddenly, the doors of the restaurant opened and some Marines walked in. Everyone froze in silence. Hey, you, said one of the men, walking over. We heard that you are pirates, correct? Asked the man. Luffy nodded. No, said Aya. We're not pirates. Yep, you heard right, said Luffy. Luffy, Aya gritted her teeth with anger. The soldier fixed his cap. As we are grateful that you saved our town from that tyrant, we can not allow to go freely. Therefore, your crew must leave town immediately. We will not arrest you, he said. Aya stared at the Marine soldier in shock. Come on, they saved our town. You're really going to kick them out? The townspeople argued. The Marines were silent as they had their heads down, while the people continued and began to throw insults at them. Luffy shrugged and got up. Guess it's time to go. Thanks for the food, he said, bowing his head to Rika's mother. Yeah, thank you, said Aya. Hey, wait a second. You're leaving already? Asked Rika. Luffy nodded. Yeah, he said, lifting a bag of food the Rika's mother had prepared for the journey. He flinged it over his shoulder and started to walk out of the restaurant, with Aya following. Zoro followed after them with his katanas. And what about this guy? He with you too? Asked the Marine, pointing to Kobe. Luffy stopped. He smirked. What I can tell you is what he's been doing up to this point, he said. Kobe's eyes widened. Luffy, you wouldn't, he thought. Yep, he used to be some fat lady's cabin boy for 2 years. He's such a dork and a complete loser. He's the weakest person I've ever. Damn you, yelled Kobe as he punched Luffy. Everyone gasped, while Zoro smirked. Luffy smirked and threw his fist back and began to punch Kobe repeatedly. Zoro grabbed Luffy by his vest, stopping him. Kobe collapsed on the floor. That's enough, Luffy. Just let him fall. Let's go, he said. Luffy smirked again and nodded, following after Zoro and Aya. Luffy, that was on purpose. He did it so it wouldn't look like I was a pirate. It's not fair. Again and again, I have always relied on Luffy for help. Well, no more, thought Kobe as he stood up. Sir, I'd like to be a Marine. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Just allow me to join, yelled Kobe. The Marine soldier gave him a questionable look. You don't know how many of my men have died in the hands of pirates. However, permission to join granted, he said. Sir, Kobe yelled. That was some act you pulled back there. I wouldn't be surprised if they saw right through it, though, said Zoro as he, Luffy, and Aya made their way to the docks. But did you have to be so hard on him? Aya laughed. Kobe could handle the rest himself. I have faith in him, Luffy said. Zoro shrugged his shoulders. Well, it's a real fitting way to leave this town with everyone hating us. Very pirate-like, he said. He, Luffy, and Aya climbed into the boat. Luffy giggled. Yeah, he said as he began to untie the boat. Luffy, Aya, the two twins turned to see Kobe, Rika, and her mother. Kobe saluted. Thank you. You have done more for me than anyone else in this world has, he said. Zoro smirked. That's new. I've never heard of a marine thanking a pirate before. That's one for the history books, he said. Luffy grinned and the three started to sail off. From the boat, Luffy waved. Bye. Hope to see you all soon, he called. Bye, Luffy, said Kobe. Rika waved back as well. Bye, big bro Luffy. Bye, big sis Aya. Bye, big brother Zoro. Shit, shouted. S-A-8-L-L-L-U-U-T-N-N-E. Kobe turned to see the entire Marines from the base saluting to the pirates. Suya, called Luffy. The ship began to sail further and further away. You have good friends, said the Marine leader. Kobe felt his eyes burn as tears began to appear, but he wiped them away. No more. He was not going to be a wimp anymore. Kobe smiled. Yes, they are, and I know that somewhere, someday, somehow, we'll meet each other again. I can feel it. Luffy smiled as the sun began to set. All right, the adventure's finally coming to a beginning, he said. Zoro nodded. Yeah, and we'll probably face more of them pretty soon, he said. Luffy giggled, agreeing. Got that right, he said. Then Zoro frowned as a thought came to his mind. Say, is there any reason why you two want to be king and queen of the pirates? He asked. Luffy turned to him. Zoro saw the seriousness in his eyes. Luffy and Aya looked at each other, then back towards Zoro. We made a promise to someone a long time ago that we would gather a crew and become king and queen of the pirates. And I, for one, always make sure to keep my promises, said Luffy. Zoro smiled. Softly, Luffy turned back to the sunset. Me too, added Aya. I want to leave my mark on the world before I die. Zoro gave her a confused look. Then he saw Aya softly make a sad smile behind Luffy's back while her brother wasn't looking. Hick frowned in confusion, wondering what she had meant by that. Okay, it's time to start the real fun. Let's head our course to the Grand Line, shouted Luffy as he stared over the horizon with excitement and 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 with